So we identified people. We identified breach of rights. We linked it with the testimonies that were given to us by many people. We heard more than 70 people. We heard some people via Skype in several countries, as you might have seen. We protected the anonymity of some people that did not want to be seen or known and witnessed through a camera and through the public eyes. It was an experience also that was shared by many people. Many people attended the hearings of the Commission. Every day during those 5 days between June 18th and June 22nd, there was a room like this at Amnesty International in London that was filled with people. People were interested. People were listening. People were sharing their grief. We saw beautiful expressions of love and of caring of people that needed to comfort others after they had witnessed, after they had cried. And it was for that reason, maybe for that reason only, a very useful experience. I think there's a need to go on. This process has to go on. And I really hope that the tribunal that will sit in The Hague, because the process should continue in The Hague in the next coming weeks, will be a process that will lead to a judgment, not a real judgment. The court will not be a real court. It will be a court of public opinion. This court will be compared, and it should, as to other international tribunals, like the Russell tribunals that were created in the 60s by Mr. Russell and Jean-Paul Sartre and others that believe that when countries, like the United States or like Iran, the United States was for Vietnam, Iran is for what happened in the country itself, do not accept to be ruled by law, who do not even accept to respect their own constitution. The Iranian constitution has 28 articles that protect human rights of the Iranians in Iran, but obviously those protections are not worth much when you see what has happened and what is still happening in Iran. So there is a need to have a judgment at one point that will say the rules of international law have been breached. Crimes have been committed. Here are the people that committed those crimes. Here is what our tribunal says about who committed the crimes and what should be done about the crimes that are committed. And as long as Iran does not accept the jurisdiction of international tribunals, of the International Criminal Court, there's a need for this kind of tribunal, this kind of Russell tribunal to bring to the world and make known to the world that there was a breach of a fundamental human right. So I just hope that the people that will use the evidence that we gathered and deal and look at the observations and the recommendations we put in our report, that those people, those judges, and I believe that there are very prominent people that have accepted and will probably accept to sit on the tribunal, that they will render a judgment that will have some influence on the future of Iran. And just to end on something that might come out of what will happen in the next few months or years. Someone asked me, well, you know, it's not a real tribunal. It's not the International Court of Justice. It's not the International Criminal Court. Could something happen with the facts, the evidence, even the judgment, when, you know, this court finally identifies the people who committed those breaches of human rights? Well, one very concrete consequence is when this tribunal will say this person has committed an international crime. Well, that person, if that person is in Iran, might not want to leave the country anymore. Because if it leaves the country and it comes to another country, Canada, for example, Canada would have a duty to try a person that has committed an international crime because that person is on its territory. It would have a duty to do that under international law. It does have a duty now to do so if there was someone you can identify, or I could identify, as having committed such crimes or breaches of international human rights. That's very, very important, you know. It's something that will be useful, because some people will know now that because they breached the human rights of their fellow Iranians, they might be tried. They might be called to answer for what they did. And they're not for the time being, and there should be. So it was a very enriching experience for the law professor that I am, the Québécois who was in London with my colleagues, and that wanted to do this because we are a common humanity. I care about Iranians. I care about rights of people throughout the world. We have a duty to care about rights. I have a right to criticize the government of Iran about what it did about the human rights of your brothers, sisters, families. I have a right, and you have a right, and the Iranians have a right to criticize breaches of human rights here in Canada, or in the United States, or in Britain. We have that common duty to remind every government that they have to respect human rights. So I think this is something that must continue. I was very proud to be part of this process, and I wish that this process will come to a situation where some people will one day have to deal with the terrible things that happened during the Khomeini regime, and that at one point also in time people will be happy that justice has been done. Thank you.
If anyone have any questions, Professor Turp would take your questions.
And I say that because I must leave. I promised my wife long ago that we have a nice dinner at 8 o'clock tonight. Yes?
Was that the shift of the International Embassy of London?
Could you repeat? I didn't understand very well.
Was that the initiative of Amnesty International de Londres?
Non, c'était une initiative des familles. Pour le répéter en anglais, it's interesting. I also had to inquire in who was responsible of this process of the Truth Commission and the Tribunal. And I understand it's a number of families of victims that took some time. It took us several years to create a committee, a steering committee of people that would bring together a certain number of international lawyers to be part of a truth commission and hear testimonies of people. And that work and the report we have done would be followed by a hearing of the tribunal, of a tribunal created of other people, other judges, not the truth commissioners. Amnesty International, I understand, supported this the group, the steering committee, in allowing our commission to use its premises in London. And they were very, very helpful, and the people of Amnesty International help us organize the hearings, and I think they did a very good and a remarkable job in helping us.